without it tipping over so that you can see everything. So we are back. I am back. We want to complete this recipe. My name is Skye. I'm a raw vegan. I healed myself of 32 years of chronic illness. I was in bed for, well, most of my life. And I found the raw food lifestyle. And in doing that, I saved my own life. And I became a raw food health coach. A YouTuber, a chef. I've got ebooks. But essentially, I feel like what I've been doing here on YouTube is creating a safe space for anyone who wants to question what they're eating, what they're doing. If you're already on a healing journey, whatever that looks like, you're amazing and keep doing what you're doing. But yeah, so we started this recipe. So these are carrot viral wraps. So this is only 3 ingredients. I have a reel that I'm going to put together this afternoon of me making the recipe so you can actually see it all up. But we did make this on a couple lives back. I did not link that in the description, but if you go a couple videos back, you can watch it, or you can wait until the reel comes out. I did make some noodles. This was from an experimental raw vegan party. All healthy foods. I made a few things to put together today to make an experimental recipe. This was beetroot, and with the help of you guys, you gave me some ideas. I use like tahini or sesame in this. And there's tomato, there's garlic, there is a little bit of lemon juice, and yeah, I put some fresh basil with that, and we've got some cream sauce that's going to go on that. Yeah, I also have Seamos gel here. Well, it's not Seamos gel yet. It is Seamos. On one of my lives, I've been soaking this so we can blend this and make the gel. So this has 92 of the 102 minerals the human body needs, and it's good in recipes like raw vegan cheeses, or you can just have a mouthful in the morning when you wake up, or 2. So yeah, shout out to, is it Genius? I think that's what somebody's saying. Anyway, welcome. My name's Skye. I've already introduced myself. I make raw recipes. We talk on a lot of health topics. If you're on your healing journey, or you like raw foods, or you want to learn more about healing, I healed myself. I've got 7 major organs removed, including my stomach, duodenum, and top of intestines. I was chronically sick, and yes, I am vegan, but it was raw veganism that healed me. I, as a vegan, was still getting sicker, and my body stopped making proteins, and I started eating the food raw and could function. I've spoken so many times on this. I literally was at rock bottom. I had no carers anymore. I couldn't cook my food, ate it raw and functioned. And then I would feel better and cook, and then I'd go back to bed with a whole lot of mast cell activation symptoms, tachycardia, POTS, chronic fatigue. I'd been 9 psychiatric hospital visits, 5 times scheduled, over 60 surgeries I've had. It was non-stop. And then I ate raw food and it stopped. So, hi, I share this. I don't think my skin needs to look better. I'm 44. I lived in a bed. I've seen people my age. My skin is incredible. I have no skin problems. Also, if you eat collagen, your body has to expend energy to break the collagen down. Then, depending on the body's needs, it will recalibrate that into a protein, which could be collagen, but it may not make collagen. You're putting luck into the body. You're just guessing. But good luck with that. So, hey, Skye, Donna from Jamaica. Hey, Donna. It's a rough 44. I'm okay with it. I'm lucky to be alive, so it wouldn't really matter what I looked like. It's kind of sad that you come in lives and that's what you say, but sending you love. Why does all British food have to be brown, grey and tasteless? I don't know, I'm not British. I'm Australian. This is raw vegan and I eat this way because I don't really have a choice. But also it saved my life. I have missing organs. I've had over 60 surgeries. So I'm very blessed to be turning 44. I'm very proud to be turning 44. If I make 50 or whatever, I'm amazed. I shouldn't be here. So as for rough, I mean, I exercise an hour and a half a day. I run my own business. I bought my own place. Considering only 4 years ago I was bedridden with carers on government money, in and out of hospital, I believe I'm amazing. So I'm here to share that you can do that too. You can feel good. You can look after yourself. It doesn't have to be raw food. I'm not here to force raw foods on somebody. But I just want people to have hope in dark times. So your eyes are sinking into your skull. Okay, let's bring this up here. This is not true. My eyes are not sinking into my skull. I'll show you when they were and why I saved my life. So let's see. I'm wondering if you need some raw food so you can see better. I have perfect blood test, which is very rare. Most people my age are on a whole lot of medications, and I have missing organs. So, but I'll show you a photo of somebody whose eyes are sunken into their head and was near death and rushed in and out of ICU. Yeah, so I was on a walking stick, a whole lot of medications, in out of ICU. At that stage, had 60 surgeries. I kind of find it sad when people get on, when people have been through a lot and they come on and start commenting when people are trying their best. But anyway, good luck to you. Yeah, that's sunken. That's where my body, they put me on protein powders and I couldn't absorb it. And I saved my own life with food. So, and this is me on veganism before I started raw foods. Let's see. Where's the picture? Here. That's me at the start. And then 10 months of raw foods, no supplements, nothing but raw foods is, let's see, nothing but raw foods for 10 months. Oh, here. There. Oh my God, I look so horrific for somebody who's 41 in that photo. Holy moly, I'm the worst looking 41-year-old I've ever seen. You guys are right. What was I thinking? Why would I eat this way? Oh, I keep looking at it. Oh my goodness. That's horrible. That looks so much better. I should go back to cooked food. Hey, Tessa. I don't eat raw meat. So would you suggest a raw dog vegan diet or ease in to start? I would highly suggest ease. I am all about wherever you're at on your healing journey, elevate yourself, like constantly work on yourself, because what I see so often is when people rush into a raw food diet is you've got a lot to unpack, a lot to let go of, and people tend to go, the higher raw they go from where they are, they tend to swing all the way back. Not everybody, there is a few people who haven't, but you're better off to just keep working, unless you're extremely sick. If you're extremely sick, and you're stage 4, stage 3 of some disease, of course, look into treating the disease. That's your job. But if you're going to do this for the rest of your life and you decide tomorrow you're just going to eat raw food and there's none of your favorite foods anymore, it's very overwhelming. I highly recommend slowly doing it. Also, plants have defense chemicals in them. Yes, they do, but so do animals have teeth. So you can pick. I definitely feel my consciousness and my health. I can't live like this. I can't live like this photo. You can tell me what you guys want, but I can't live like that. But yeah, fruits don't. Fruits don't have a lot. Fruit does have histamine in it, but just like animals, eat what you're drawn to. I mean, I've interviewed a woman who was hunting meat and sleeping outdoors and had a baby in nature in pain. She ate a raw diet and had 2 babies like animals. They came out in the amniotic sac in an orgasm type way. You don't get that unless you eat the raw foods and sleep on the earth. She was hunting her own fish, milling her own bread, and she was in pain during labor. And then the next 2 children she ate on a raw food diet, sleeping on the earth just like man would have originally. So you can't convince me, but I'm not here to force anybody to have raw foods. I'm just here to share my journey. So, is this vegan propaganda? Definitely not. So I started eating, I don't know what that, my parents are raw vegan and they make their own deodorant and toothpaste. That's amazing. Good for them. I'm here to actually just show food right now. And I'm not someone here to, if you feel the calling to try it, you can do it. I'm not here to talk you into it. If someone tried to talk me into this at rock bottom, I would have run. So that's why I don't do that. I'm here just to show the recipe for you guys who are interested. So I don't like steak. I'm missing my stomach. I'm a vegan. First off, I'm a vegan. So yeah, okay. So what I'm doing here, this is raw vegan, and this is a safe space of people who, like myself, have been through a lot. So if that's not you, there's so many lives out there for you to go join, to match your energy with. But this is a space for people who want to watch me make this. So I had this at the raw vegan party earlier, and I made some kelp noodles with beetroot. They were saucier, but they've been in the fridge because I went for a run. So I actually don't know another 44-year-old who does run most days with doing Pilates. So there must be something about this diet, hey? Okay, so we will top this wrap just like that. The kelp noodles are made of seaweed. There's beetroot, there's garlic, there's sesame, like tahini in this. And then all I did was put some basil on top. And this is the viral carrot wrap. And I made like corn and chia. And then all I did, this keeps getting blocked. I think there's a little nut that's got trapped. Well, there isn't anything there. I don't know what's trapped, but something is. We will get there. This is just cashews with water. So, all food you would not be able to get yourself in a non-civilized world. I don't know what that means. Thank you. Okay, you've said that. So, vegans are privileged people. I don't know what that means. How is it to farm and look after an animal or have it free ranged and have someone feed it every single day, care for it, then pay someone to chop it up, then pay someone to ship it to a butcher, then pay someone to sell it to you, and then pay more money to flavor it with vegetables and then eat it? Oh, that's so cheap. Oh, I got this all wrong. If worse comes to worse, like when I was homeless, if apples fall on the ground, I can live off them. You may think I cannot, but I can. Trust me, I've been through it. Don't come at me with that privilege. It's a privilege to have someone grow your food. The only person who touches my food is a friend. I get it off his farm. So don't come at me like that. It's actually at a discount as well. So thank you. I'm good. Thanks for asking, Timo. A shout out to Irie. Hello, I like vegans. I like you too. I like my nieces and my sister aren't vegan. You don't have to necessarily be vegan. I'm not here to force it on you but don't come at me with things that aren't true. She's a farmer living in an upscale apartment. Now you're just making things up. I'm definitely not a farmer, and I'm not in an upscale apartment. I healed myself after being homeless, after 60 surgeries, after having it's almost 9 major organs removed, couldn't walk, couldn't talk from a functional neurological disorder. I've had 9 psychiatric hospital visits, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome. I've had a congenital disease in my back, chronic viruses. My body was literally chronically shutting down. I've worked my butt off for this. I come on here daily. I help other people. This privilege came from being homeless and losing everything. So, I don't know what that means. How do you stay skinny, queen? I need help. Raw food, looking after myself. Let's try this. This sort of food. It's fun, it's yum. The recipe is in the description. This is so good. I feel like I've been eating this all day. So someone said they're poor and they're an illegal immigrant. So if it came down to it, I would sell my internet connection and my phone and get offline. But you just go to a farm or go to a grocery shop and say, can I buy the discounted vegetables and stuff? Anyway, I'm not telling you to go vegan, but don't start putting saying that it's a privilege, because it's actually a lot cheaper. I was more expensive on meat. The government had to pay for me. The government had to pay doctors to look after me, keep me in hospital, pay for carers. Now I look after myself. That's a much cheaper and better for the planet. Win-win. I am a survivor. Thanks, Jeanette. I think it's Jeanette or Janet. Yes, it does explain a lot. But they were only after I had had 60 surgeries. So I had no psychiatric problems until I had acute PTSD after all that trauma, which made sense, if you ask me. Like, I don't know a person who survives 60 surgeries and doesn't end up with mental health issues. Oh, thank you. Where's my watermelon juice? Watermelon lime juice is really good. Okay, hang on a sec. I'm trying to do this here. I think that works. Okay, so JM74, can I ask, how did you start, or should I check your channel? I can tell you how I started, and you can check my channel, but I'll tell you how I started. So good. Nothing better than like going for a run, having a shower, putting a hair mask in your hair, and eating raw foods. So amazing. Okay, so I started, and I've got, I think it's in the description, I didn't include it today, I'm not sure. There was a go-to salad that I made every day when I healed. But I started by buying foods that I liked. So I went paleo, and then I went vegan, and I was still very sick. And then I would order foods to just cook, like just boil or dry roast, because I was so sick. I knew the less the food had things done to it, I seemed to do better. I already established that. But then I just got too sick to even dry roast or boil the food. So I started by just eating it raw, like carrots and celery, because that's what I liked. Avocado, mango, berries, cashews, almonds, sauerkraut. And when I ate those foods, and I was too sick to do anything fancy, I functioned. Like, I would get up and I was like, oh my God, I have not functioned properly in years. And then, so how I started was basically eating foods which I liked, which didn't make me sick, which was everything raw. I would get bananas, eat bananas. I would get dates, mango, celery, if I wanted something savory. So I suggest people, if they want to start, is first off, see what it feels like to incorporate more raw foods. So however you're eating at the moment, in between those meals, you could snack on raw foods. But pick the foods you already like. So I would do that during the day, and then in the afternoon, and I was only 40 something kilograms. I was only 40, I can show you, I was only 45. I put on 12 kilos in 1 year on a raw food diet. And I've seen people lose a lot of weight on it. So within 4 weeks, I was doing much better. I still wasn't well. I think you can see, I know this is a dark photo, but you can see I'm very skinny. So I started out like 40 something kilos, but I would eat that food all day, and then I'd make a massive salad, the salad that saved my life. Now that's on my channel. You can watch me make it. There are recipes there. It's literally, I'd get a big bowl and put in it greens and veggies, cruciferous. I'd make like herbs, tomato, onion, garlic, ginger, turmeric, cashews, almonds, avocado, kimchi, apple cider vinegar. The dressing would be lemon juice, orange juice, and this big salad. Turmeric powder. What else? Turmeric powder, paprika, and then I would mix it all together, and that would be like my one main meal. But I would eat it over a couple of hours. I've eaten it on the live, and that's because I loved those flavors. But I had no blender. I couldn't afford a blender, no juicer, no. It was a chopping board, a vegetable peeler, and a knife. But it depends how bad you want it. But oh, hey, party boy. Hey, creative heart. Eat large salad with fresh lemon juice, salt, and a mixture of nuts and greens. Yes, this is what we want. Your hair is so thin. My hair is definitely not thin. It's just got a mask in it. That's all. Is so much of it. Have you seen the photos of my hair? My hair, I have to say, is amazing. I lost it all. I grew it back. I'll show you. Since we're going through the photos, this is me most days. Oh, this is even, it's grown again, but this is me. You can't really see. Go and have a look on my lives. It's just because it's got full of a mask at the moment. I think that's all, but it's definitely not thin. My hair did fall out. So when I started here, it had all fallen out. There, chunks are missing, and it was gray. I started eating this way, I went blonde. This is dyed now. I need to get it done again because it's growing so fast. All this grew back. Look at that. For 44, my hair I'm impressed with. If I didn't, I wouldn't get on here. If I was falling apart, I wouldn't be like, do this, join me. So, looking very fresh. Yes, I just went running, and then I had a shower, and I've got a hair mask in. This is what I made. I'm gonna do a reel. It's really good. Food always tastes better after you've worked out. It's like a reward. Oh, I don't know what is stuck in here. There. There. So, I am from Sydney. I am from Sydney. Hey, Creative Heart. Oh, you love the mocktails. That was fun. That was so good. Like, I went over to the group chat and everyone's like, what did you put in it? And there's 3 juiced apples, the water of a coconut, and vanilla flavoring, natural flavoring or essence, I think it is. So I hear this a lot. My digestion has been very off every other day on the raw Goldner Star. I'm taking the enzymes, doing castor oil packs, lymphatic draining. Do you have any advice? This is why I had to work it out myself. So if you have a look, I think you probably have it. The way I do it is attached because it's so dense. I felt no mast cell activation syndrome, which is my goal, but I felt locked up, which behind my neck starts to lock up, my shoulders start to lock up, but I had no mast cell reactions. So the way that I did it was with the juice, because it's the more hydration I can get into my body does not lock up. The lock up happens if I have too much salt or too much dehydrated food. And her diet is very low on fruit. If you did a lot of fruit and you move across, you see a lot of people be like, all these symptoms came back, but people who came from a regular diet into it don't have that problem because they're letting go. If you have been on a high fruit diet and you go on Dr. Brooke Goldner's, essentially it is almost like a level back, but it's because I believe we need more nutrients on this planet than the fruit actually provides, though fruit is the optimal delivery system. You cannot tell me that the way that fruit delivers, it's full hydration, you get carbohydrates with it. Sometimes I feel that some of the fruits have too much. The way I did it, the only way I could do it, and I'm so sensitive, was to have green juices, but predominantly it's the celery, green apple, very minimal green apple, mostly it's cucumber, celery, and coconut water. Now that gets much more expensive, but I never looked at it as in I was doing it forever. Like I had this specific goal to get enough omega-3s in to calm my system so that I can eat my regular diet again and just include more omega-3s. I've got to a point now, and you can have a look what else is in there, but that's why I do juice. I wake up, have juice. I have what I need of her food. And then I tended to go back to coconut water at night. Otherwise I'd lock up. I cannot get all that salt in. Like I'd be a wreck. There's no way my body could do what her protocol does. And so that you could try that. The other is do what works for you already and include flax oil. So I've worked out that I can't long-term do even the protocol that I have attached to this live. I now have got avocado back in, even though that's high histamine, it's much more easily assimilated in my body, because it's a fruit. So yesterday I did avocado, I think it was like 3/4 of an avocado mashed with the cruciferous with the oil. And I have not had any reactions. And that was the goal of doing the protocol. The protocol was not long-term. It was to intensely have high omega-3s to stop all inflammation in my body. And it seems to have worked. But I think now I will go back to my normal diet more so and include flax oil. Still do more cruciferous most of the meals, more avocado, which I didn't react to. And with just the oil that I need. I'm not going to be like bombarding my body anymore. So maybe some of that info can help. Thank you. I'm eating. I've got another one. I did a raw vegan party today. And I've been making on these lives a carrot and corn, the viral wraps, which people are making online at the moment, but raw vegan. And I filled that with kelp noodles, which have like a beetroot and tahini type sauce, garlic in it, tomato. And I've got another one I had in the fridge because I took some photos of it. So it's not looking as crash hot, but it'll taste just as good. So yeah, made this earlier. But yeah, so that's what that is. The recipe is in the description, but there is a reel of this coming, so you can actually watch how I create it. Oh, I'm looking at the comment section above. I drink occasionally now. The mocktail options, both for me and my sober friends and guests at the bar. Everyone should enjoy the bar. Yes, everyone can feel good. That's like the idea of the mocktail party. I was doing a lot of fruit before. I actually do a little more fruit than she recommends, but otherwise I am on target with. So it may also be the sodium, but I just think it's there compared to fruit. Cruciferous greens and the dry seeds are so much harsher on the system. But if you need to get omega-3s in, you like find it's about, I feel it's like a hydration thing. I'm not an expert, but that's what I've noticed about my body. Yeah, I've had to, like, I don't like the oil, but for me it's the best bet. I'm just too locked up after, but I have no mast cell activation syndrome, so it's like a double-edged sword. Is this a mukbang? It kind of always is with me. I'm always eating. I'm good, Shay Speed. How are you? Johnny Woo Woo, you love the accent. I'm Australian. I'm Aussie. Hey, Simon. So I'm having this other one, and we're going to make some, not flax. Now I've got flax on the mind. We're going to make the Seamos gel. I haven't had it in a while. Anyone interested? The hair mask I'm using is by Sozo, and the reason I'm bringing out this is because there was only 2 brands. I use another brand when I wash my hair called Monet, and that's amazing, but it is stronger. If you're on a healing journey and you're in Australia, especially, I don't know if this is all over the world, this brand is amazing. I've got this mask in now, but if you are really sensitive and you live in Australia, check this brand out. There is a link and a discount for you guys in the description. But besides that, it is really good if you are sensitive, because I went years without using a shampoo until I found that. Well, I did use Morocco Method. They're good as well. But then I got to this, and it gets really hard on a healing journey because you become allergic to everything. So I've come through that allergy, those intense allergies now. So eyes are a lovely color of blue. I was named after my eyes. Thank you. I might do more chia seed. A lot of people have a preference of chia or flax, and then some people like, I can't do flax oil, and they can get chia oil. To me, chia oil seems like a headache. Hello. I love a good mukbang. Well, you love this channel, right? That's probably why you love this channel. I'm always eating. So, kelp noodles are so fun. They're made from kelp. Did I show you the kelp noodles? So, I find these really hard to find, and my local, like, if I have to order something, it becomes a big deal. So I ordered the protein, peanut protein, which I've showed you guys before, and the hemp. But if I want to eat something, I want a local shop to have it. And our health shop up here, Nourish, usually has it. But then they'll run out for months, and then when they get it back in, I go grab some. But this is like raw kelp noodles. There's only like 6 calories per serve, and it's full of nutrients, especially iodine. But they're nice and fun. I actually prefer them sometimes. Today this worked perfectly, but with zucchini noodles as well. I feel like I really nailed this. Like the sweet, savory with the corn and the carrot and the beetroot and the basil. And then this creaminess. So, one thing that makes me feel really bad, that I woke up yesterday and felt hungover, and I think the apple cider vinegar, whenever I buy it homemade from the markets, it smells like cheap wine. like really cheap wine. And I woke up feeling hungover. I'm wondering, I don't know, it's cross between wine and vinegar or wine. So when this is made, it turns into alcohol and then continues to ferment into vinegar. I don't know. I don't think I do very well with vinegar. I seem to do fine the first day. I think I can only have it occasionally. I did not feel good yesterday, and I think it was that. So I think it happens with all fermented foods for me. I think they're just too many histamines. I seem to do better with fresh foods with histamines. My body's okay with it. Maybe the hydration, I don't know. I am Aussie. Good morning. Thanks, rude boy. Oh, rude boy, party boy. Rude boy. Sorry. Did you attend university? You seem rather brilliant. What is your favorite field of study? That's a great question. I did. I love science. I absolutely love science. So growing up, this is actually a good topic because growing up at school, I did 4 units of science, the top science. I was really sick before I finished school. I missed half the year before I finished school. I was in bed, so sick. And then I got into university and I did psychology for 5 years. But I never finished because most of that time is when I had a lot of surgeries for my back and for pain. But my hobby was during that time to read journals, to read articles, to read psychology. I loved it. I found it fascinating and interesting, and I guess I never had psychiatric problems until I dissociated at 36. Diagnosed with ADHD, but that to me is not the same as having like a severe mental health problem. That's just like focus thing back then. And hyperactivity thing. Having a lot of energy, which I don't think is a bad thing at all. So then I kept on reading a lot of journal articles and used that science to try and find out what was wrong with me. I constantly looked at documentaries. I was always then looking at peer-reviewed journals, the newest data, who's the best professor in the field to help me heal. Everything was science. And all I did is get sicker. All I did is the more I read and the more I studied and the more active my brain was in a computer, is the more I feel like I got away from what we were supposed to do here on earth. And that is, you can use doctors, but first you have to be eating right, you have to have movement, you have to have low stress, you have to be sleeping. Like your job on this planet is to do those things. Everything else is a luxury that your body will have to process. So like if you're at a high stressful job and you're like, I can't do the basics because of the job, you will end up very sick. The reason you can do a stressful job or any job is because you've done the foundation. It's an overflow of a cup. So you have to get on this planet and do self-love. So you have to look after you. I woke up this morning, I spent time with beautiful people making beautiful raw foods and laughing and staying high energy. Went for a run in the rain out in nature, came back, had a warm shower, put a mask, like a natural mask in my hair. Now I'm on a podcast sharing. That essentially is all self-care and self-love. Essentially, the parties and the podcasts only come because my cup is now full. And a lot of people, especially the way schools and universities are, is we are trained to forget the cup, you get there. Have 5 coffees, you get through it. You're extra stressed, take a pill. If the pill's now constipating you, take the laxative. Laxative's giving you reflux, you get to that job. That's how we're trained. And that is so wrong. That is, I feel like every time I even got well, instead of learning how to look after myself, I was always going, okay, let's re-enroll me at university. I then tried to go to another university for a year. I was very sick then. Too sick to be doing it. But like, I was never like, Sky, you've got some spare energy, learn to meditate. Sky, you've got some spare energy. What about you find a food which makes you feel good? Never did that come into my consciousness. So when I healed myself, I hadn't read a book or been online, besides when they gave me some medication to kind of come to from having a functional neurological disorder, which displayed as a stroke, is I would game a bit, but then I couldn't do anything for hours or days. And this went on for 2 years where I couldn't read. So, and I couldn't, when I dissociated, I lost access to all those memories, which I talk about coming back now, that store my knowledge, or like earth knowledge, school knowledge. So when I healed myself at rock bottom, do you know how much of what I learned at university and school and from the top doctors and professors and the probably close to $1 million spent on me helped me heal? None. Not one thing that all of that money and time and knowledge and stress did, that kept, once I lost that, I had no access to that anymore. No doctors, no carers. What did, I've talked about this, is the memories of Sky. When in your life have you actually felt good? Because I couldn't get online, even when food's starting to make me feel better that weren't very processed. I couldn't read anymore. I couldn't get into these journal articles and nut it out, which I didn't realize was making me sick. So I've said this before, a few key things. So I remembered that as a child, there was a period where you were happy. Like I didn't know what that felt like, but I recalled that as a child, I remember jumping in the ocean with no parents, no friends, no ice cream, just nature. And I was in bliss. I couldn't remember the feeling, but I knew that that was in me. The other thing that came to me, because it was only what I had access to, was because I was starting to get into the notice that foods made me feel different, was I have my mum's genes and my dad's genes. Now my mum has Lyme's disease. My dad has never had a health problem. He just doesn't have health problems. And I'm like, well, what does he do? He gets up to this day, he's 75 or 76, to this day, he swims or goes to the gym every single day, maybe both of those. He did that my whole life. He then would juice. This is before he would make Holly, my sister, and myself breakfast. He would have raw muesli with a plant-based milk. His lunch was brown bread with salad, 2 sandwiches. He didn't even eat during his lunch. He would usually go for a run. And then at night, a lot of times he was in a basketball team, but he would eat like 3 meat and veg for dinner. Like, except on the weekends, we'd have like probably bacon and eggs for breakfast and maybe a barbecue or something. But predominantly his base was all what you see healthy people do. So if you look online, even though there's people who have problems, if you look at people who predominantly have a healthier lifestyle, they're not as sick. They may end up with acute things and may have to shift some of what they're doing, but in general, I didn't even think of that. I just thought, well, I have my dad's genes in me, and if he does that, you know, that to me, isn't it funny? We get so comfortable in life that it was easier for me to lay in bed, well, because you progress, right? You get so indoctrinated that it's easy, and this is what stops people. The answer, if you present somebody who's overweight and stressed and even about to die, well, maybe not die, but they start to get health problems, that the answer is exercise, sleep, nature, low stress, and good people. They can't do it, but they can have their body chopped up. They have their stomach stapled. They'll have all these pills because it's like a dopamine thing. Anyway, I'm diverting here. So that was one of them. The other one was, Sky, you can't get access to knowledge, like to read. You can't have doctors anymore. You've got no carers. When in your life, because I did go through a naturopathic stage of, I was going to be a naturopath, of going to naturopaths and like the more natural route. When did you feel the best? And all I could remember was, you know, that you go to these naturopaths, they put you on an anti-candida diet and give you 100 pills. So now you've not in modern medicine, but you've got 100. You need to take this herb and that herb, and you need magnesium, and you need this, and you need that, and you need a tincture, and you need. That always made me sicker. But the time I felt the best, this is what else I recalled, was an osteopath put me on a diet that he found every disease was responding to, and that was, you eat only plants for 2 days. You can only use tamari and salt. It was like herbamere salt. So you cooked plants as well, fruit as much in abundance. You eat as much as you can. Then every second night you're allowed to eat whatever you wanted. And when I did this diet, that was what I recalled in my head. There was no herbs, there was no supplements. It was just eat plants for 2 days. And then I always noticed, because I had invested so much time and effort into myself, the meal I had was usually more vegetables with like a piece of salmon, or a piece of steak, or maybe tofu. I don't know whether I had a lot of tofu back then, but it was very like, I was eating a very, very, very simple diet. And so they're kind of the things that saved my life. Well, besides the fact that I'd also worked out I was feeling different on foods, but it was all of that education, I feel, kept me sick. And this is why I'm very reluctant to still read. I get on here and truly just share what I know. And this is why I also don't believe I don't believe the road I took is what every person should be taking. I believe every person who gets to that pivotal point in their life has already experienced the answer, but they can't see it because they're so overeducated. They think they've been brainwashed, or you brainwash yourself into thinking that there's a book that's going to have the do-do-do-do. No, there isn't. It's every day. I only stay well because I every day still these principles. What I did in my darkest hours, I still do every day. So I try and get some sunlight. I try and get my feet on the ground. I finished running today in the rain in the middle of winter, shoes off, walk across the ground. I get grounded. I eat foods like this that don't make me sick. I do things like this is when my cup's full. I can then share online. Oh. There's no miracle. The answer is in each of us. And with the support that you can walk your own path, you'll get further than keep on following people. Because you're following someone who, you say they write a book. That definitely worked for them. But you live in a different place, you're a different age, you're from a different generation, you've had a different past, your microbiome's different. There's so many variables. And I healed myself when I realized that I had the answers. So, yeah, it does taste like cheap wine. I'm sorry, I've gone back. I did smoke. I stopped when I finally went raw vegan. I definitely don't push myself, because every time I push myself, it's like the Chinese proverb, right? If you push against something, all you do is push it away, and eventually you put so much pressure on it that it'll come back and knock you out. I live in flow. If I force myself to do anything, it is always a repercussion. Like, I'm so, like, I even say, like, if there's a bad day and I can't do something that day, I don't have guilt. I just put myself to bed and rest. Okay, do they know why you had the neurological issue? Shingles through the eye, through the trigeminal nerve in the face. And then towards the end, I had shingles for about 2 weeks. Then I couldn't get up. Classic symptoms of functional neurological disorder. Lost my voice, couldn't stand up, couldn't move my limbs. And when I did, it was like robotic. It was like the connection in my brain to my body. It just stopped. But I had shingles rash across the eye, and then that's when all the PTSD occurred as well, which is brain, right? So there was literally the shingles virus in my head. But other people have said, not to the extent that I had it, but people don't walk for like 6 months after shingles. All sorts of things. So yeah, that's what that, but it's like by that stage, I was like, when does this end? I was like, I've been through so much. I was in another live with this guy, and he said he doesn't read. He doesn't see the point of it, and it's just regurgitated thoughts of others. Yeah. Who is this guy? I'm very fascinated, because it's hard not to read books. But what I noticed when I had a brain wipe, which is if you don't read or get on social media or get on television or have people around you, your brain resets. And when you start to be able to read again, you realize you literally become what you read. So I had an empty head. I realized how quickly and this is why I said I stay away from medical medium and Joe Dispenza, because first Joe Dispenza, everyone's like, Joe Dispenza, and then I got it and started reading it. But the problem is the start of his book tells the story of a person's issue. And I didn't realize my whole life is when I read or watch negative things, I am literally becoming it. You don't escape that. There's no difference. Your brain can't tell the difference, especially when you're first rebuilding your brain. And then that's why we discussed the medical medium. Is nothing against him. He's probably a great person, but whenever it came on, I felt this aggression, and I only go towards people that make me feel more electric, and I don't navigate based on popularity. It's simply how I feel. That's the answer. So I always, when I work with people, I was like, I also worked out that I saw a girl on Instagram, and because I can't read big things, but I can see pictures, and she's like, you put a cooked bean and a raw bean next to each other and write out what you see, because the words you see are what you feel. And you look at the cooked bean and you're like, grey, bendy, mushy, soggy. And so even look at my face, this is all low vibrational. And then she's like, write what you see with the green bean. And I was like, structured, bright, fluoro, crunchy. And so it's literally, if you feel something feels terrible, you will end up with a terrible result. And this is what confused me about the community that I got into, is everyone's like, you're supposed to get on this lifestyle and feel terrible, and you can feel terrible for years. And I was like, what? I should have been the sickest, and I just let my feel good navigate. And that was very easy for me because I didn't have anyone, and I couldn't read. So it was me and nature, or me against the world. But yeah, it's harder once you get your brain working again and you're around people. You become who you're around. So it's like it's letting you have what makes you feel good. Those first steps and I don't mean in the moment. I mean thinking about, just say someone's like, well, alcohol makes me feel good. Well, no, it doesn't, because you have to feel good thinking about it, buying it, drinking it. I don't know, if you actually ask yourself, you don't actually like the taste. But you have to feel good after it. So and I don't just mean survive it, like as in like, oh, I don't really get a hangover. I mean, it has to better you. And that's what raw foods does. So I think about it and I like get a bit of a buzz. I think about creating with it and I get a buzz. I think about buying it, get a buzz. Think about making a salad, get a buzz. Eat it, get a buzz. But the next day, I'm not just surviving, I have a buzz. And nothing has ever done that except for fruit, salads. This sort of food does it, but not as high vibrational as freshly. Well, I don't even have access to freshly picked. Freshly picked is a whole new ball game. So I'm not even doing it perfectly. But I cannot deny that if you stick me by the ocean with the sun, the tropical sun, and you give me access to fruit and greens predominantly, that I cannot feel better. And I may find even better in that. But I mean, I'm living indoors. And also I feel like the reason we have things which are not just fruit as frugivores is because we are so damaged that it's like they say herbs heal, that us humans need to constantly be on veggies and herbs because of what we've been through. But there's nothing on the planet that you ingest that gives me. So people are like, go carnivore. Thinking about that makes me feel terrible. Looking at it makes me feel terrible. Preparing it never, like I literally growing up, if I had to do I would eat chicken cut very finely and marinate, basically marinated in plants. And then I would never, it took me so much, the smell, did it make me feel good? No. And the next day, did I feel like I was like a better person? The only thing which does that is fresh raw foods. And so I went with that. And sunlight does it. So but if it's too much, I would just stand in the shade. People over complain. Do you need sunscreen? Do you need zinc? Do you need this? If you're feeling, especially when you're on raw foods, you'll feel the heat. Gets too hot, there's trees, you just stand under it. Grounding would do it. So thinking about, these are the only things that I have discovered on this planet that do this. Nature. So I think about it, I feel good. I get in it and I feel good. And then the next day, like if you come back from the beach, this is what I kept remembering is the best I ever felt, even sick and medicated, was if I got down the front of my house, because I lived on the water and I'd been in the water and in the sun. And so that was another thing that I did. And so I don't feel bad unless I've got myself burnt. But since going raw, that's really never happened. It only happens when I used to have all those chemical type things inside of me, like vapes and smokes and stuff. So I had nature and I had food. And that's kind of it. A huge thing for me was salt. Being in the salt really helped. And then when I reconnected with my family, I'd have salt baths. And I found out that that's emulating being in the ocean. I would put in Epsom salts and I'd put in sea salt and I'd just lay in it for hours, grounding. But truly, it's not the same. Nature and raw food are the only things which give me that. The source, jumping here, I am Australian. Thanks, Creative Hearts, like just saying to everyone, I'm Australian. She's definitely British. In the major language arts college, there's no, she's not British. I'm Australian. I used to be an avid reader. I naturally stopped after discovering and doing meditation. This is really interesting. Like someone mentioned, it's regurgitated thoughts. It is. And we have, this is making me feel really better. This is why I do these lives. It's like, I actually feel I give you guys more because all I do is share my knowledge of like actual things that happen to me. I very rarely, and I don't like to, it's only if something comes to me. So I always mention that Nutrient Power book, and I've only read the first part of it and skimmed the last part, and I'm like, read this, but it's in there is basically what we are doing. And so a lot of people are there. This is the problem is if you're a meditating raw vegan yogi who loves nature and somebody comes at you who's eating a really dense diet and they're on a lot of medication, it's hard to communicate. It's like talking a different language. It's like a Chinese and a German talking at each other. It's definitely a different language. So a lot of the time, if something comes to me, like as in, I stumble across it and I can relate to it. The other was an electrical book. So I went down the rabbit hole of knowing that raw foods, like we talk about physics and chemistry and biochem, but truly overall it's sacred geometry and electricity. And there is an electrical, I don't know what they're called on YouTube. It's pretty intense. I think it's electrical engineering YouTube page. I haven't been on it in a while, but it's called The Electric Universe. There's a YouTube group, but it's run by very, very intelligent people, and they explain the whole universe syncing and running as electricity, like stop breaking this up and down, like splitting it up. And a lot of what happened when I healed is I stopped zooming in and I looked at the whole and healed like all of me. So I did love that. But there was a book I read, I don't know what it's called, but it was from the 1800s. It's when I was trying to retrain my brain to get working. And it was about this guy who dissected animals, sadly, but there's interesting things here, animals who could regenerate organs, okay? So, you know, if you follow Dr. Morse and like I regenerated myself, my hair's come back. If you had a look before, my hair had all fallen out. My eyes have, like, my skin, my liver regenerated. My liver was failing. That's all fixed on blood tests now. Anyway, so they'd cut like salamanders and stuff, and at the point where the limb would grow back, an electricity that can be measured is like exponential on the animals which regenerate limbs. And that same electricity happens when people's spinal cords are severed, but not to the same degree. And this doctor or this expert, like basically kind of prophesized or believed or hypothesized that we all, at some stage, we have the possibility to regenerate. Okay, I still don't think there's enough electricity in fruits to grow back limbs. Okay, I do believe you can regenerate a human, but I'm not growing back my stomach, my ovaries, because and I feel like some of these salamanders can, but it was just very sad that he would chop off their limbs. I mean, that's absolutely horrible. But the point on the starfish and the salamanders is the same as us. But the amount of electrical energy that could be measured at the stubs was like exponential. And I like to, and I wish there was more that talked about electricity, because I think the problem is most stuff we read is so broken down. We're literally reading you can't, if your toe's broken, you've got to, it's like a, it's a orthopedic surgeon, right? Or and then like if it's your heart, it's a cardiologist. Like, and if you say to the cardiologist, I've done this, I have sinus problems, they literally can't help you, as if they're not even a doctor. They're like, you have to go back to your regular GP. And I'm like, didn't you do the same 7 years plus an extra 4? Like, anyway, I like the theory of electricity because it's applied to fruits and people and meditation and everything. So reading is fun though. That's good. I think if it's fun, you do it. But when it becomes like what it became for me, which was literally just seeking for answers. If you're reading a book and it's a story and you can immerse yourself, but I almost trained myself to, if I had energy, my job was to find a cure for having all these 60 surgeries and organs missing. Yet I didn't find the cure till I forgot everything. And then I found it. Same, I used to constantly read self-help books. I definitely think I should meditate instead. Yes, I just got chills then. I did it too. The amount of dopamine that I used to get and not realize from, it's my birthday, I've just ordered another 3 books, and not even think that it's going to cure me, but at some level there was some level of excitement which kept me going back. And then I actually had to feel my way out of my predicament, which was, if you've heard my lives, you've heard I went through absolute hell. But I think that was twofold or threefold. Lots going on there. I think I had to let go of the person I had become completely, and that literally meant to break me. And then I had to go through enough suffering to never go back. And sadly, my level of suffering had to be exponential. And as much people are like, you shouldn't have had to go through that, I've always kind of said I think I had to. Like, I feel like I had to be like, everything doesn't work, I got this. I got you, Sky. And that's what I want for other people, is to be like, I've ordered the books, I've read this, I've followed this, I've done this, I got you. Like, when is it in my life? And you'll find, probably like me, that some of the best times you've ever felt in your life have been summer school holidays, where you've been running around with friends, your neighbor who wasn't even your best friend from school, but you're like climbing trees and you're like barely eating because you're literally getting the force of the earth in you. Think about it. Kids are growing into like adults and they don't eat what adults eat. Adults work and then spend their time ingesting food to relax. And you work to go to fancy restaurants and travel and all. Most people organize travel, they're just organizing food and drink places. And when you step out of that and actually think like Sky, when did you actually feel best? To me, it was always run around with no shoes, your swimming costume, I don't know, bathers maybe, I don't know what everyone calls it. So, oh wow, so Dome said, I had a hard-boiled egg this morning before going to sleep, and I was like, I don't want that in my body, I just want natural foods in my body. That I cannot teach. That is what I want people to feel. And I don't necessarily, some people might be at a stage where they're like, I don't know, I feel whatever this meal, whatever they've had. But people need to listen to their body to learn, because that's what will keep you doing what you're doing. If you've read a book and think it's given you the answer, even if it helps you a bit, you'll eventually go back to what you think you've learned. over your lifetime. So that is something I want people to feel. Yet honestly, raw foodies seem to have such great energy and many look really good. Yeah, I think the only time people who are raw don't look good is when you can get trapped in protocols, which is a lot of raw foodists have found like their own journey, and you find that when they find their own journey, they lose chairs. They have that confidence to keep seeking. And I think a huge part of being a raw foodist is accepting when what you're doing is not working, because it is hard as a raw foodist. You think fruit's the optimal, right? And if I'm not doing that, I'm a bad person. If you're putting good food in your body, you're doing amazing. Even if it's cooked, even if, you know, you look after you. So, hey, Abraham from Nigeria. So Sad Hingira's inner engineering program was amazing for me. It's a meditation, but also a kriya, a yoga. It settles the body, mind together. I'm so glad that works for you. Another tip that I learnt is, as much as people say don't judge a book by its cover, judge a book by its cover. So if you see somebody and you go, they to me look amazing, okay? I look at what they do and that all looks great. I'm not saying that everything they do is great, but you are going to learn more of that person that you want to become. That's what you are looking at mirrors, right? Is so if this is what I didn't get, is like there was this doctor who was really big looking after my grandma when she was about to pass, and he didn't turn up to work because he had a heart attack. And it started to make me think, like, why did I think to take advice? Where I've learned the most, because when people are like, you know, you're doing raw veganism wrong and you're not doing it right, I'm like, the people I look up to who are older than myself, 50s, 60s, who have been doing raw veganism a very long time, that I personally admire. You can admire who you want. I eat very similar to them. I'm more veggie, nuts, greens, still some fruit, but to me, it's like I'm learning from people who have aged that I respect a lot, and that's so more because essentially the reason I love it is because they've aged well. I don't want to follow someone's book who's telling me to age in a certain way but looks terrible. So I look at the book I'm reading. Basically, people are books. So I look at them, and if something turns me off, it doesn't mean I don't love them, but I can't match their energy right now. And even if I try, they'll fade away. And usually it's in more of a traumatic way. So it's better to match energy. And that doesn't even mean that I match energy with just raw vegans, like for sure. Like I have the best time with my sister. I love my nieces. I love my family. My friends, they're not raw. But it's definitely something different when you are with someone that's raw. But the people that I want to emulate, or the books or the roads I want to walk, I do judge books by covers, but not in the sense of like a materialistic type thing. It's simply a health thing. Is the more someone has more hair, more health, they're not overweight, that type of stuff. Not like clothes and cars and stuff. But even if people have those sort of things, if you look what they have in their life, like someone might have a massive plantation, and that's a goal of mine, right? That doesn't mean that, you know, I am judging that book. That book is where the book I want to walk, right? So the eyes almost look like metallic bluish, greenish. Yeah, what's interesting about my eyes, when I was really sick, they were grey. And a lot of people talk about raw veganism changing people's eye colours, raw Christina's, but what actually changes my eye colour is how much time I spend out in the blue sky or the blue water, and my eyes start to change colour. But the more raw food you have, the more time you spend out in nature. So if it's dark, like it's dark and overcast, and if I've spent a lot of time on computers, I will go into the mirror in my bathroom and I will see grey and green. But if it's summer, especially when I disconnect from a computer, when I disconnect, I can be as sick as a dog. If I disconnect and I've had to disconnect from a computer where the only light or input comes in from the sky and nature, is you look in the mirror, and I can show you photos of just coming off the back of being hella sick, but I couldn't get to a television for a few months. is my eyes go so blue. Like it's crazy. So I feel like it's not just like that the food's fixing something. I feel, well, they say the eyes reflect the soul, right? My soul is most at home when I've been in nature. I cannot argue with that. When you say dense diet, do you mean heavy diet? So yeah, so when dense to me is a lot of meat, cooked meat, and processed food is the dense reality that you live in. Sometimes when I've had too much dehydrated food, not even cooked food, I start to recall the hellhole I used to live in. You're on the same planet, but you're on a different frequency. So people talk about New Earth. I feel like I'm walking on New Earth. Ever since eating raw foods, no food has ever done that for me. Not cooked veggies, not the vegan diet, not the paleo. So when people go eat meat, I'm like, it may fix someone's problem. I'm vegan, so I wouldn't do it, but I've never eaten a meat meal and felt enlightened. I don't know if anyone's out there feeling that. High raw, not even like dehydrated food makes me feel good still. There's a lot of fresh that was in that still. Well, not too much today, but still makes me feel not good. But enlightened and light, like light energy, like I've just eaten a piece of source code, which is hard to explain. If you told me this, I would say I'm woo-woo. So when I was like really sick, if somebody came to me, just shows how much my energy levels changed, right? And talked about, I was in dense reality. I was on a lot of medications. I was on a lot of protein powders from doctors. They made me take it. That means that you match that energy. So I spent a lot of time in hospitals. I attracted people who were in dense reality. It doesn't make the person bad at all. It's like you travel through different energy levels on this plane. That's what it feels like. The lighter raw foods you eat, the clearer you see this. Like you can literally, you know the answers to things that you, and especially the lighter fruits that you eat and spend a lot of time outside. But to the point of doing that I've spoken about this before, is if you eat too dense, you will get disease and die. But if you eat too light, you will do the same. And that's why you see a lot of people who have become quite unwell doing enlightening type diets, because the planet vibrates at a certain level. And if you don't match that, the way the universe works is you can't stay there. So if you eat too dense for the planet, you don't stay there. If you eat too light, you don't stay there. A lot of people say your soul just like lifts off the planet. I don't know, a lot of people don't look so good who are, thinking they're doing enlightenment, but it's about the planet. You will always attract what you match. It's kind of simple stuff, but it doesn't make you bad. Like I want to preface that whatsoever. But yeah, hey, hello. What do you think is best for growing hair? My hair is thinning out. Here, that's a perfect question for perfect timing. So I keep saying preface. I will say this. If you want to heal something, you have to work on diet, movement. That does not even have to be outside yet. It can be that you go to the bathroom and you do a second lap if you're really sick. You need to eat well and get in nature. And that can look different for each person depending where you are, where you start, okay? And then if you feel strong enough, like when I was healing, I couldn't get things like this in. My body was literally running because I gave it fresh food. There's a lot of vitamins in it which helped things repair, but it felt like I was electric. Like that's what was running me and getting my body to essentially regenerate. Now I'm in like more of what I would call a raw vegan. I feel like I healed as a frugivore fruitarian, where I only ate basically fruits, very little greens, some veggies, but mostly sweet fruit all day. And my dinner was usually a savory tomato, avocado, mango, zucchini, lemon juice type thing. And my hair thinned more then, but it wasn't like I was running on the actual nutrients. There's a hell of a lot of nutrients in it, but there's something electrical about that food, which was catapulted me to where I am today, which is, I would call myself a raw vegan. So although I eat most foods fresh, I eat them in raw form. So I'll have raw chocolate, or I'll have like onion powder. I wouldn't even have onion powder back then. nothing in a packet, like raw materials, because my body seems to assimilate it best. But this is Seamos gel. If you're in Australia, you want to get this from the Seamos gel company, because most of them taste disgusting. And I don't know what the link is, but I only use theirs. So I've had this soaking, and what you do is we drain it and wash it, and we put it in the blender and make a gel. You can, if you're just starting this, you can buy it pre-made, but if you're like someone who likes to make your own things, which is very rewarding and lots of fun, you can do that. Let me just see why I went raw vegan to the yoga. Oh, I'm glad you guys are talking. There's electricity in your eyes, ma'am. Thank you. I'm hoping that that's what you guys see. They call it the Mather cell. I don't know what that means. Feels like fasting regenerates. My only experience I've spoken on fasting, I fasted for 3 days, but I will not let my, I think my electrical system just gets too weakened. But that's just me. Now you also became half doctor. Well, a doctor of Sky. I feel like I am mastering myself. I want everyone to become the doctor of themselves, and that isn't necessarily in a book. I would say if you want to learn who you are, get on a raw food diet. Once you're there, you decide what you want to eat for the rest of your life. But you truly learn, the one thing a raw food diet will give you, and that I'll preach about, which, because I don't want to force anyone to it, but what will give you, you will finally learn who you are. That is one thing I can't get out of, is that the higher raw you go is the more you know yourself. But you don't want to go too high and make yourself sick, because that's not a good place to be. But then once you're up there and you're eating a raw food diet, you can decide, you can go back to your meats or cooked food, whatever, but you have to learn. I think it's like an experience, right? But you can't, this is why I want to do, create a sanctuary, where I'd love to do them all over the world, where people go for like 3 months to transition across. You let go of computers, internet, television. You can choose to let go of books. You choose, right? And then you have, the reason I want them all over the world is I want people to not go straight back home, but transition back home. And then if they're back home and it's too much, they start feeling it going back, because it's more than just the food. They go back to the sanctuary. That's my goal. But then I feel like you can decide once you've experienced the raw food. It's not just about fixing something. Like the reason I'm fixed, I don't have to, well, I don't think I would stay as well as I am, no way. But I don't want to go back, because it's like, I know me. So you say exercise is important, but what about if you get pain and decline causes relapse when exercising? So I couldn't walk when this first started. Well, I could sometimes, but then I would just crash out. I had chronic fatigue, functional neurological disorder. So I'd been in a neurological hospital to relearn to walk and talk. I was basics. I was like not much. But if you find the right food, you will. This is how I discovered the raw foods worked. Is I couldn't even hang my washing up. My washing sat next to a gas heater inside. It was winter. All of a sudden I was eating the fresh food, and I was like, I can hang the washing up. It took 2 days till I could get back out to get it back in. But that's not the point. The point is if you're eating the right food, you start to do things. In fact, I so couldn't move so much. The only way sometimes I could move around my apartment was playing a song in my head or hitting play on the phone. And I had stored dance routines, which weren't really dance routines, but it was like a do, like to get myself some way of functioning when I'd get, it's like a locked in syndrome that would come. It's very hard to describe. If you have a look, anytime a reel comes up of someone suffering with it, it's the most horrendous, because you constantly have seizures and you try and talk and no words come. It's like, it's horrible. So if I can do it, you can do it too. So if you're in a situation where you're in pain, look, it will help with everything, but I've suffered with chronic pain and nerve pain when I started, psychiatric, like reliving things which aren't even there is worse. You're trapped in your own body. And raw foods will take you to a much better place. Saying something will fix is relative, because the person may go in to heal the Alzheimer's, and they heal the Alzheimer's, and they heal the MS, and they heal their digestive issues, but their funny knee doesn't heal. And I don't have the answers for everything, but I think we're here to learn lessons. It's not just about like, fix this, we got this. Like, I think there's more to it. But I would tell you, if you're suffering, try it. But try it at your own level. So if you need to have peanut butter and veggies, because a lot of people like, I can only, the amount of people I coach who think they can only eat fruit, and then they're like, I'm like, but is this working for you? When have you actually eaten fruit? And no one can stay on just fruit when you just start. It took me, I think, a year and a half of just fresh food until I could do all fruits. So it will help you. Yes, thanks, Creative Heart. You're not only a great mod, but a great cheer squad. Definitely like and subscribe so we can get the message out, right? So we can get people looking after and loving themselves. And polite sounding blonde babe. Oh, that's very nice compliment. How are you doing, Ken? You are my friend. Greetings from the UK. So I like this. Emma said, welcome Creative. I have a sensitive nervous system too. Used to have insomnia and anxiety and now no more with changes in lifestyle and food. And I believe us sensitive souls, the ones who feel everything, it becomes your superpower. I believe that what I do in life, I excel at because I use what I used to medicate. So it creates anxiety, the ADHD they diagnose you with. The reason my psyche probably fractured, the reason it did is because I could feel everything. Now that I'm loving and looking after me, those feelers become my absolute reason that I can do anything. Most compliments that I get come off the back of that I can sense that, especially even the planet, like how a lot of people can get onto these foods and they don't like people who are not vegan. And I'm like, I've been the non-vegan. I was not that I was a worse person. I was just in a different reality. And I wouldn't want someone like not liking me. Like, I really think things through, and I think that's a trait of someone who they call like an overthinker. Or I think a lot now, but it's not so chaotic that I'm on the raw foods. But let me do this. I'm talking a lot here, which I do a lot of. So what we're going to do is we're going to drain this really well. So let me got everything open here. All right. Okay, so what we'll do is we will rinse this before we blend it. So we really need to clean this because this was been it's from the ocean, and they do the best they can. This started out just a small bit of dried seaweed, but when you get water into it, it expands, and so you get quite a bit. But this will grow your hair and nails and skin. But what I want to say is you want to do this with a good diet and good, practices in your life of looking after yourself, because nothing will fix you. I feel like I tried everything to get well. And then the actual answer is, even no matter how sick you are, even as sick as me, you have to look after your lifestyle. Do it every day, every day. Okay, we're pulling back out the blender. We've been using this a lot this morning, making all the sauces and yeah, there's a lot going on in my blender. I think there's some leftover cashew in here, making the cashew cream. You'd be surprised, especially when someone like myself who had no nuts or seeds for like 2 years, that when you put them back in, that a good just cashews blended with water is like one of the greatest pleasures. But then you never feel bloated, you never feel sick. It's like a win, right? The food's a win. You just feel really good. I think I'm getting behind on the comments here. It's all about balance. It sure is. Even if you get onto this lifestyle, never think, like when I go out of balance, you can, like I was like, my focus was high omega-3s, and that's great, but you cannot stay there. You have to recalibrate to make sure you've got your fats, you've got your carbs, you've got your protein, amino acids, you've got good sleep, you've got self-care in the shower, you've had some movement. Hyper-focusing that one thing will fix your problem is the problem. I think that should be a t-shirt. Okay. Very dysregulated nervous system. I started doing somatic practices. I suffer with kind of bad anxiety. I went raw to help as well. Yeah, the only thing I used to find when I used to get really bad, and my nervous system is fine as long as I have a lot of fresh food and stay hydrated, like the coconut water, green juice, a lot of fresh salads and fruits, and very like high in the raw sort of world. Is when I used to be in hospitals and I'd get other patients in psych units or even next to me, or even when I was younger, I always knew how to help people. Is if someone's like really sick even from alcohol, you've got a dysregulated nervous system, right? You get a wet face towel, and this just used to come to me, is you get it and you put it on the back of your neck, because, and all your wrist. And the reason being is these are two spots which have a higher amount of blood on the surface. So you've got some good veins and arteries there, and the neck is literally blood to the brain. So you've got a lot of heat that goes there. And so by putting, if you want to get it on the heart, it's very hard. You've got a like chest cavity that's blocking a lot of the nervous system, but a lot of the nervous system is shooting through the arms and the neck. And so I have watched people's blood pressure return to normal. Having mass panic attacks stop, and just excessive, the whole nervous system regulates when you get a wet or ice pack and just put it on the back of the neck if it's still not calming, on the wrists. And I just watch people come back to normal. And that isn't fixing anything, but if you get into a panic, I've been through it, that's the best I've ever found. And if you can't, if you're like, oh, I don't know where there's a towel, get toilet paper, wet it and stick it on your back. There's always a toilet nearby. Like, you use what you can have, you've got access to. We don't have to be fancy. We just have to stop having like a panic attack of some type. Okay, so I don't know measurements here, but let's say there's 3 cups of soaked Seamos. And then I think I put about 3/4 of a cup of water in there. But you can add more water into this. Some people use lemon in it to get rid of it's not really a taste thing. It's more a texture thing that people don't like. We need more water. So it might be a cup. But you just keep adding water till you make this into a gel. But you, as I said, if you're new to all this, you want to get Seamos, just go buy it. But use the Seamos Gel Company. Seamos Gel Co. It's called. It's the best. Okay, here we go. Oh my gosh, so do I. Sun gazing, and I love stargazing. In fact, when I healed and I couldn't watch television or read books or any of that, and I could get outside, all I did is it was winter, get my butt on the ground and just look at the stars and the moon. And when you're not like, you haven't had any of like technology in you, it's like magic. And then in the morning, waking up to the sun and not your phone, like the phone was like my friend. So it could give me music and it was with me, because I wasn't connected to family or anything. No one would call. I couldn't call anyone because most of the time I couldn't remember my name. It was like a little buddy that was always with me that would play me music. I could push songs. But the other was just, nature was my whole world. Like my whole life for that period when I healed was all nature. Like, and I didn't at the start, couldn't get very far. So I get out the front on the front, like grassy knoll part with bare feet. So it's like crazy people are having an awakening, right? So at my craziest is like my most dissociative was where I had the ability to know how to heal. And I think that stands, like when I think of, I'm so lucky the last time I was in an acute psych unit, is I said, every time you give me a medication, I get sicker. Like I am actually having this problem now because of the medications. My brain cannot handle, plus I'd been vegan for 2 years, so I'd eaten just like a lot of more fresh. I said, and the lady, thank gosh, this time in an acute unit said, okay, and what happened in this situation is because she did that, is psych meds may save a person's life, right? But you don't process anything. So when they took, I don't know what they were giving me at this stage, I would have like outbursts at nurses and stuff, and then I was feeling things, and then I'd come back and I don't know, I'd be like, I'm so sorry, I just yelled at you, I don't know what came over, because I think I'd come off all sorts of things, and plus alcohol and vaping and smoking, which you can do in there, but it gave me a safer place to process. So you put people in there, and instead of processing, you just zombie them, and then you wonder why when you send them home and they get worse, or they don't take it and they really dissociate all of a sudden, that they've never learnt to cope. So that was good. And plus I knew all the nurses then from different hospitals and stuff. But then that's when I stayed in a hotel again, and then I didn't start to actually heal till I had my own place. So this is Seamos gel, and what you do, we will put it in a container. Oh, I'm running out of I usually prefer wooden spoons, but I feel like I've used all of them today in the food making demo. Good evening, I'm good. Have you had your eyes read for iridology? Grey and white over the eyes is considered backed up lymph system. I wonder if that's me, why they are grey as well. I don't know, I haven't had them read, because then I get things in my head. This is the thing, I try to stay away from things, because then all of a sudden they're like, you've got weak kidneys. So I keep telling myself I've got weak kidneys. I don't need to know that. I'm like, I just sense. But I do know that the more I stare at nature, whether that like relaxes, I don't just mean stare, I mean my body's grounded, and we know the electromagnetic field of the earth is gonna definitely help the lymphatic system. I don't know, my eyes are literally blue. The more I sun stare. A lot of what I did when I healed, I had nowhere else to look. I used to just squint at the sun, and when you first do it, it can be blinding. But if you do it day after day, before you know it, it's like infused in you. I don't know what comes out of the sun. It was like when everything went dark, the only light was the moon and the sun and flowers and fruit. Everything else looked dead in the world, and so I gravitated towards them and let them like nurture me back to well. So we got this. I know it looks like snot. This is one of those things where you just get a scoop. I think the reason people don't like it is it doesn't taste like anything but a bit of like, it's like a texture thing. You can have 1 to 2. I'm going to start with 1 because I haven't had it in a while. But you do that every day. Some people say to do it on an empty stomach so it absorbs better. I do it when I remember. No, I usually am a bit more. I usually do it with a green juice. I actually really love the taste of this with green juice. Like really like having a green juice and a couple mouthfuls of this. It's like a good start to the day actually. I actually have a green juice in there. I feel like I need to wash it down. But as I said, you can buy this pre-made if that's where you're at. That's all fine too. But this works for me. I think you get more for your buck. But this is full of minerals, and basically hair, nails and all of that. You need minerals. Okay. You say exercise is important, but what about if you get pain and decline causing relapses? So you just have to start where you are. I thought I answered that question about how like I walked before I could run. I walked for 1.5 years every day. I originally could not move, so you do what you can, which might be an extra 2 laps around your kitchen, or you walk out to the letterbox, and today you can do 2 walks. You've got to start where you're at, but the only thing which will cure the pain is finding the right foods to be the foundation. I pick peaches for a living. Do you really? That's so cool. Well, your body definitely doesn't need chicken. Trust me, that's a lot of work to break it down. But if you tell yourself that, that's what it feels like the body needs. Brain. I have had this too, but I found out those with neurological issues can trigger relapses with exercise. Yes, you can. And this is why when people say, you know, it's not just the food, it's the sleep and it's the nature and it's the... I could not access those things until I got the food right. If you are really sick and in pain, you can't do the walking, the meditation, the sitting in nature until you get the food right. And if you're at that stage, you want to look at the food aspect sooner than later. Because as soon as I got the food right, I had access to more nature. I got my brain back, my hair back, a life I never imagined I would have. And that all for me, I call it the gateway, started for me with fueling my body. And Chris Kendall says it good, is even in the dark, if you start putting packages of light in, you have to start getting good. Like you can't not. Like if you start putting like, basically raw food is packages of sunlight. That's all it is. And the more you have it, the more you understand that. But if you're in a really dark place, people are like, oh, I'll meditate my way out. It's very hard to do that. It's not impossible, but it's much easier to put physical source light in your body and let your body start to elevate. I've been good. I tried using castor oil on my hair a bunch and I don't know if it helped it grow more, my hair, but definitely moisture on the scalp. I find hair oiling does help. I don't know whether I found it help enough. I found I was eating too light for my hair to grow. I had to eat more nuts, seeds and veggies. I also needed better hair care, so I needed something stronger. That helped. Seamos gel helps, but I didn't find the oil as beneficial. But maybe if I tried it now, I do it, but not as regularly. I used to do it every 3 days. Peaches are beautiful. You keep talking about movement, but my neuro said, so don't focus on the movement. So you'll find that people are putting their own blocks up. So movement is not as, I can't preface that I did not move until I got the raw foods in. I could not function until I got raw foods in. You can't skip a level. So if you can't move, what can you do? And if you can't eat all raw food diet, look at what you are eating. How do you not put anything processed in the human body? Meat takes up 80% of the human body's energy to digest. Raw food's 20%. What do you think the body does with the rest of that energy? It starts to let a person heal. And leukocytosis, so the principle that you put something in and the body heats up and has a leukocytosis response like it's cancer or bacteria in the body. When that happens with meat, it's extreme. Processed food, it's extreme. You still get it with every food, but it's barely minimal or very small. A girl on YouTube, on Instagram, was a raw vegan who put her blood under the microscope. She was a pathologist for every food she ate. She was from Europe. And you watch the red blood cells stick together when you eat anything cooked. Leukocytosis response. Now, like Detox Tori, who went to med school, said, is if you are an athlete and you from a very young age have trained morning, noon and night, and you have eggs for breakfast, salad for lunch and healthy, because most athletes eat quite healthy. And on the weekend they eat, maybe they have like cheat days or whatever, is you're detoxing so fast that your body's never really going to have much of a problem unless you have an injury. But if you've constantly just put things in your body, it hasn't released it, you're just going to get sick, basically. But this is all things that nobody puts together. They like to zoom in. So don't focus on the things you can't change. That's another thing about healing, is don't keep going, I can't exercise, that's not going to change. What can you do? And, you know, I don't want someone to be like, now you have to have perfect sleep, perfect food, and perfect exercise. That's all too much. You start with the food. Trust me, you want to start with the food. I feel you would be really good at retreats. I want to go to Sky Sanctuary. Yes, I am starting to do retreats. I plan to do one in Thailand. I'd love to do them here. But I think smoking weed since I was 15, I'm 31, it's all about balance. I'm not to say what's right or wrong. But yes, we all want to go. I want to create this. I keep putting it out to the universe. I make the edibles for my husband last longer and he feels great. I think the whole thing is, don't ever let something that isn't nature or raw food or like very natural foods be something you rely on for your health. Like, as in, like, make sure you have those, and then having an edible or whatever someone does, it might. So I know people who are naturopaths who believe that the smoking the green or the edibles can be very beneficial in somebody's healing, right? But a lot of people are using it as an excuse when deep down they know they're doing it every night and they can't go without it. It's very different if you're going through something and you need some pain relief, or you're working through some emotions and you want to lessen that over the next few weeks, and then you don't think about it, right? But the only true things I worked out in this life that I can rely on, well, really the only one thing I can rely on, I want to say, is love. But to me, that is nature. Like, at rock bottom, even when you don't have a roof over your head, nature's still hugging me. And that is like kind of the premise that I live on. Everything, including the magnesium I take at night, is a luxury. Like, that is something my body has to work very hard to get rid of each day. The hormone replacement therapy. These two things that I have in my system are just a lot. I'm very grateful I can have the support of them, but don't think you can put 50 things in and not have ramifications, because to even process magnesium, my body has to pull calcium, potassium, hydration, and usually you end up ridding your body of so much magnesium you can end up deficient over time. But it is helping me right now with my gut. My gut wasn't that bad, but it's much better now, and sleep. So I'm already eating this way, but you know, the food would be amazing with Sky as my chef. I would love that, us all together making foods. I don't know why that person keeps saying the same thing. Yeah, cold packs are good. Hacks don't work for sure. Yes, Marcus and Cara I'm big fans. Why? Because they look good. Like, they actually, like, whatever they're doing, I want to know. Because they're older than me, I'm going to get through their age, and that's the book I want to read. So, yeah, they're very inspiring. Yes, Seamos is really good. I think inflammation is the issue for me. I think it makes everything out of whack. I want everyone to go. I feel like everyone needs, I don't know how much time that you're out in nature, but it really helps. Like, just either eating all your meals with your bottom on the ground, spending any spare time you can. It just seems to really help. I've been raw vegan for nearly 2 years. Still have pain upon exercise. I hear nerve pain can take years. Is that true? No, my nerve pain is very abundant if I don't eat raw foods the right way. If I eat too much sugar, I get severe nerve pain. If I don't have enough omega-3s, I get nerve pain. Nerve pain is horrible. So it definitely, you've probably noticed a whole heap of benefits from raw foods, but you need to eat raw foods that suit you, because there's an abundance, right, of raw foods. So yeah, you can just, it looks intimidating, but you can just actually buy it. Yes, I didn't even think, put it in a smoothie. I put it in my recipes because it acts like a gelatin. So you get like bread, it works in breads and cheeses and, oh my God, I ate all my food, especially when I healed outdoors, and I thought I was in heaven. I literally thought I was in heaven. Minerals are good for the gut too. But yeah, when it comes to nerve pain, if I don't have enough fat, oh my God. But then also you have to balance the fat with hydration because you don't want to get too dehydrated. There is, if you have a look, I mean, I don't know what you eat now, but I do have a mast cell activation folder that has what I eat with the abundance of high omega-3s, or there's Dr. Brooke Goldner. But I don't know what you're eating. But I find the fruit very stripping on nerve endings. I find it's like if I have too much sugar or fruit, it's like that astringent property. It's like it burns the end of my nerves. So it's like definitely like, I don't know, I don't even like to, I like to think of it in a way that I've just been through so much and my body needs a lot of the more denser things right now. So I don't know if that helps you at all. In the sciatic, in the back, so it's real nasty. So if you have that, and you're already eating a raw food diet, is that what you were saying? No, that's not you. So if you eat a raw food diet, most of the pain in your body goes. But if you are not, you haven't found the success you want with certain things, the only thing which keeps me out of pain, like I will lock up in a heartbeat if I get too dry. So coconut water, green juice, fruit, it doesn't have to be excessive, but some fruit, and omega-3s, like life-saving when it comes to pain. But as I said, we're saying is you don't want too much of it because it's like balance. But if you want to talk further, you can always email me or message me over on Instagram. I'm roarskye, ROARSKYE. Good night, Em. So, yep, food outdoors, being outdoors, it's definitely, it's the life force that we want. So I actually am going to have to get off this live soon because I want to make a reel of the food that I made, because I took all videos this morning. Welcome back, party boy. I think I'm just about to end the live. Oh, yeah, I think I'm full too. I'm looking at these noodles and I'm like, yeah, I don't think I want these right now. I do want a little bit of green juice. I always have, oh, what is this? I think that's yesterday's green juice. That's not very, or maybe, I don't know when that's from. This is today's green juice. Oh, green juice is really good with the Seamos gel. So, blackberry out here, ate a dozen yesterday straight from the bush. Oh my God, that sounds amazing. Eating food straight from nature is so amazing. I feel like you enter into wonderland. Like, there's no words to describe, whether it's vegetables or fruits or whatever it is, it's like you eat a piece of, like, there's no words. The food doesn't even taste the same. You can eat anything straight from nature that's edible and it's amazing. He's tooled up. All right, guys, I am off. I need to clean up and make a reel. Make sure you look out for the reel. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe, like and subscribe. Thank you, Party Boy. Thank you, Creative Heart. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thanks, Ian, and Em's left. And One Flesh, thank you. I will see you guys soon. Bye. You're very welcome. Bye.